My name is Rebecca Hedges. I have been helping to run this program for the last several years. I went through the program myself, which I'll share a little bit about later. And I currently work at RBC Wealth Management. I research and recommend private funds for our clients. Now, after being mentees last year, Mackenzie Willems and Hanson, who you should see along the top, will also be helping run this program. I'm really excited to have them working with me this year. I'll let each of them share just a bit about themselves too, so you guys know who you will be working with. Mackenzie, would you like to start?
Yeah, hi, I'm Mackenzie Willems. I do not have the coveted letters after my name yet. I am a CFA level 3 candidate, and I have been for like a year and a half because of all of the canceled exams, but feeling optimistic about May. I work at Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies on their investment team in their credit strategies group. And as Rebecca mentioned, I was a mentee last year and really enjoyed the program, so wanted to help out this year.
Great, and Ian.
Hello, yes, my name is Ian Hanson. I've been a CFA charter holder since 2018 and been a part of the CFA Society of Minnesota since then. I participated in the program last year and had a great experience. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to step in and get the chance to help with the program this year and possibly going forward. Currently, I work at Wells Fargo. I'm within the financial risk management division, so just overseeing kind of the overall forecasting and of the balance sheet of the P&L for Wells Fargo as a whole. And most of my career has been spent within kind of bank balance sheet management, forecasting, regulatory type work. And that's all I have to say.
Great, thank you. And then I do want to introduce Megan Millett as well. She is our Events and Member Services Manager. She joined us within the last year. I'm sure you've seen her name on some emails already. You'll continue to see that. She helps us quite a bit with getting this going as streamlined as we can make it. So thank you, Megan. It's really good to work with you again. Now I will get into the mentoring program. If you want to go to the next slide. We were just chatting before we kind of opened this up, how last year this was the last normal week we had. I remember I was going to be giving this speech kind of in the normal CFA office space, and half the people were not coming anymore, and we're all like, should we even be here together? I didn't know if we should be there together. So it's just a lot of flashbacks. I think a couple mentors were part of that as well. So this should be kind of the opposite, where instead of thinking we're going to meet in person and then having to be in WebEx the rest of the year, I think the hope is we'll get started in kind of WebEx fashion, and hopefully by third quarter anyway, we'll cross our fingers, we'll see what happens, but maybe we'll be back to actually being able to see each other in person by then. But to get into a little bit of the history of the program, so this iteration of our local program was restarted in 2012 by Chris May. His name might be familiar to you. He is our local chapter president and has been for about the last year. My claim to fame is that he and I started the same role on the same day about 6 years ago. I sat next to him until the pandemic. He did start a new role recently, so I guess I don't know if that claim to fame still stands, but he's been really great to work with, really great guy. So he started this back up. There's been a couple people who have headed it up since then. Like I mentioned, I've been kind of helping out with it for about the last 3 years. Now we've seen some really nice steady growth since we restarted it back up. We started at about 20 participants. Last year we were up to 36. I will say this year the cohort is a bit smaller due to COVID, among other things. As Mackenzie mentioned, CFA did have to suspend testing for a while, and a lot of the mentees usually come from kind of that level 3 candidate group or becoming a new charter holder. We did still have a really strong response from mentors, and we do expect to kind of get back on track for our normal trajectory next year. But the program will run just the same this year as it has in the past, and we are really excited to get to work with you guys. On the next slide, the timeline for this program. So we're starting with the kickoff today. March 16th. It's usually somewhere in mid-March, and we go through October. And now in normal years, we would have some sort of event at the end. Usually it'll be maybe mixed with a happy hour or some sort of other CFA event. Like I said, hopefully we can do that this year. At worst, it'll just be an email from me, kind of thanking you and wrapping up. But we will look to do a check-in in May or June. At each stage of this process, we are working to make sure that we've set up the program so that each pair can be the most successful that they can be. We're always open to feedback. We want to hear how you're doing, anything that we can help with. So do look for us to reach out as well. There also might be some opportunities for the mentees to get to know each other a little bit, for the mentors to get to know each other a little bit. So look out for that as well. And then from there, I'm going to toss it over to Mackenzie, and she's going to talk about some of the goals and expectations for the program.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. We can go to the next slide. So goals, these were all goals that I think were available to everyone in the application, which things you wanted to focus on a bit with your mentorship relationship. And these were the goals in mind for when this program was designed. And best case scenario, we hope, obviously we hope mentees get something out of this, but as mentors have also indicated some of their goals like network building or industry knowledge, we hope, that they achieve some of those goals as well in this relationship. If we want to go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the expectations. Hopefully all of these are obvious. We expect that, you be respectful, that there's a level of confidentiality, professionalism, being open-minded. We have, people from all areas of the industry. So keeping an open mind about who you're matched with, honesty, and particularly since we're still, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but we're still, a lot of us are in a virtual environment. So the flexibility aspect will be important too in terms of, meeting and scheduling your meetings and just being willing to be accommodative to each other. In the next slide, talking about factors for mentees' success, accepting responsibility for the relationship. We really expect the mentees to take initiative to, plan the meetings and be in touch with their mentor. Clarifying your expectations as a mentee is important. I feel like one thing we want to mention, this is not a job interview and it's not a training opportunity. So having clear expectations about what you are wanting to get out of this mentoring relationship upfront will, be helpful to your mentor as well. Planning an agenda for each meeting. Now, I know some people indicated that they would prefer free-flowing conversations. So that's just something for each match to work with each other. If they prefer an agenda, or maybe start with a couple agenda items for a while and just see where their mentorship relationship goes is fine. Again, being open-minded about your mentor's background and focus on gaining insights, again, not asking for a job. So let's go to the next slide. And this is just a couple little points for mentor success as well. Listening to understand, encouraging reflection, being supportive, giving some candid and constructive criticism, and being open-minded to learning something from your mentee as well. And I'm going to pass it off to Ian to discuss a little bit about how you can get started.
Yeah, thanks, Mackenzie. So if we could move on to the next slide, please. So as you've all probably received by now, your kind of the introductory email with your mentor or mentee's name and contact information. So, what we'd like you to do to start off with is, first of all, just go ahead and get into contact as soon as you can, whether it be through a quick email or maybe set up a phone call. But originally get that first meeting point set up so that you can go ahead and kind of get everything kicked off and set the expectations out front and kind of get a feel for how you guys want to proceed with the program. We've also sent out a framework that you can use to kind of guide yourself through the program. There's different ways of going about it, as Mackenzie mentioned. The framework is just kind of an idea to help you kind of put a framework together, maybe put some goals out there, and kind of so you both are on the same path of what your understanding is, what you're looking to get out of the program. And I think it's just, yeah, it'd be great that you go ahead and, start working on that as soon as you can, and meet to discuss those goals that you may have for the program, and get those future meetings set up, whether it be through a, phone call, video call, however type of meeting format you want to do. And, as we recommended, it's about 6 to 8 meetings. So maybe once a month or more if you'd like to. But just the biggest thing we can stress definitely is just kind of getting your expectations set to begin with, so that you both are on the same page and kind of know where the program is going. Move on to the next slide, please. And as we want to make this kind of a two-way street for both the mentor and mentee, so that you're both getting positive experiences out of this. For myself, when I participated in the program last year, my mentor and I, we met, I think it was probably around the eight times, and we did about an hour a month or so. And to begin with, we went ahead and I did the framework, kind of put together what my ideas were. He gave me some feedback on kind of what he thought about which way we should go. And so we were able to kind of make a good compromise there in the middle of how to overall structure it. But we found out, so basically on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis, I'd usually send him an email, a few days ahead of time with kind of the topics that we might want to discuss coming up, just because, at the beginning of the program, we put that framework together. As you go throughout the year, your ideas might change. There might be some different topics come up that you want to discuss with your mentor related to professional things going on. So it can be flexible there. So what I do typically is just send him an email a few days before our meeting, just to kind of give him a heads up of different things I'd like to touch on, and kind of give him some time to prepare maybe some comments or some other ideas that he may have. And I found that to be a very, very helpful way to do it, just so that, it helps you to remind yourself that the meeting's coming up, and then also that you're both on the same page of what topics you're going to discuss that day. So you're both prepared to get the most out of those meetings. And as you can see here, we just had some past experiences from mentees that have participated, and kind of just their overall feedback of what positive things that it can bring about. Obviously professional development's great, but also just kind of building those relationships and connections, and just learning more about a specific industry that you're interested in. And I also found, even if it's not just specifically like job specific type of discussions, I think just overall I know a lot of stuff that I like to ask questions about was kind of the professional development side of things, and performance management. So like when performance management was coming up at the mid-year, and performance management discussions were coming up with your manager, I thought it was kind of a good opportunity just to talk with somebody that manages people, and kind of get their perspective of, how to manage my goals going forward, and kind of what kind of feedback I can give to my manager that he, gets from his colleagues. And then also kind of different things that, some ideas that he might give me to work on, that he likes to see his his employees work on too. So I think that was a really good area to focus on for some of our meetings. And then move on to the next slide, please. And yeah, and here's just kind of some mentor past experiences. As we'd like to see you also get some good benefits out of this too, whether it be helping with your people management skills, and just kind of overall guiding people. I think it's just a good opportunity to get involved in and do those types of things kind of outside of your normal day-to-day job. But yeah, overall, we just stress, go ahead, meet as soon as you can with your set up that time with your mentor to kick things off and get your schedule set and do the framework, so you're both ready to go forward. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mackenzie and Alyssa to kind of share their experiences from last year as they went through the program.
great. Yeah, we thought we would let you hear about a real life match and how that went. So I'll share first, and then I can pass it over to Alyssa. I had such a great experience with Alyssa being my mentor. The program came at a really great time for me because I was navigating an internal job change within my team at the time and felt like I needed a little bit of an outside perspective and needed some advice. And I also specifically was seeking like a woman's perspective in the investment field too. And I just felt like Alyssa was able to provide all of those things for me. And then the other aspect of our mentorship relationship that I thought was really successful was I was moving from an investment operations role into a strategy role focusing on credit strategies. So that was a bit of a new area for me. And Alyssa was very proactive and intentional to send me research and seminars that she thought would be helpful for me in my new role. And then it was something we could discuss at our next call. Often we never ran out of things to talk about. So, I don't think we necessarily needed an agenda every time, but I appreciated that at least we had materials, to talk about. And that she did seem invested in my growth in my new role. And so it was really wonderful. So thanks, Alyssa. And Alyssa, I'll let you introduce yourself if you want to speak next.
Great. Thanks, Mackenzie. And the feeling is mutual. So first of all, I apologize. We usually use Teams and I can't get my Zoom camera to work. So I thought I was going to be on camera. I was all set up. I've got my CFA charter in back of me. And I just looked at it and I got my charter in 2004. So it makes me feel a little bit old, but I would say talking with Mackenzie was a breath of fresh air, particularly when our conversations started kind of right in the middle of COVID when we were all at home and kind of feeling disconnected. So my role right now is I head investor relations at O'Brien Staley Partners, which is a private capital firm in Edina, Minnesota. But I've also held the previous roles as an allocator, as an investment consultant at a hedge fund of funds. So I have a lot of, breadth to my background, and was really excited to talk to Mackenzie as she noted she was making some career changes within her organization, and just thinking about her different options was really fun. And she's so smart and she's just got such a great runway in front of her. I was privileged to be able to give her some input. And I think it's just important when I look back at my career, I had some really great mentors. So if I can give back, that's something that's really important to me. I think this program is also fantastic. And I was thinking about it the other day, just given the fact that so many people are working virtually for now and maybe the future. Losing that ability to be in an office and have mentors on site, having some sort of program where you can network and establish those relationships is, I think, just so important going forward. So a big fan of this program. I think Mackenzie and I had a nice cadence. We actually even got together in person a couple of times at a socially distanced outside lunch. So I think being flexible to the format was important for us. I just, it was a lot of fun, and learning about kind of the challenges that she's facing reminds me of things that I did 20 years ago. She's much smarter than I was and much more tech savvy, which if she were here, she could probably figure out how to use my Zoom camera. So But that's it. No, it was a really fun program. So I'm trying to recruit some other folks to do it in coming years. So I hope it's something that keeps going.
That's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Alyssa. It's really great to have you on. Hearing that is kind of exactly why I wanted to be involved with this program. I had a really great experience as well, which I'll talk about. But as we kind of check in with you guys, we hear a lot of those stories, and it's just really great to be able to facilitate that. Now, for me, I actually went through the program twice, which was a little bit of an interesting, not everyone, if you sign up multiple times, it's possible to get in, but we do kind of prioritize based on, where you are in your kind of path to get your charter. If you've done it before, sometimes we can make it work, sometimes we can't. The first time I went through, it was fine, but I think that there was maybe not as much of a personality match. And so where maybe things being a little bit more free-flowing was my style, the person I was matched with was quite a bit more formal, agenda-focused. I would say I still learned a lot. They had great background experience. I got to learn about an area of the industry that I was less familiar with. And it's just great to get people's perspective and engage in those conversations. But I did get the opportunity to do it again the following year. And that for me was kind of exactly the experience that I had hoped to have. The person that I met with was super open with their background, shared certainly there was a lot of feedback on me and my situations, the things, we could just kind of show up and I would bring whatever I was dealing with. Some of it was kind of professional specific. A lot of it was just working with different management styles. How do you get things moving when things are maybe a little more bureaucratic? How do you deal with someone who maybe has a lot of ideas but doesn't do a lot with them necessarily. And these are kind of things that all of us will run into at different points. So it was great to get perspective from someone who's been around for a while and knows how to really kind of move through those situations. But they were also really open about a lot of the things that they were going through, challenges, achievements. And so it was really great as well to hear some of the things that kind of stay the same throughout a career, but also some of the things that I can kind of think about and looking forward and planning for future roles, future skills that I might want. And so that was wonderful. We still meet typically monthly. Instead of coffee, it's WebEx, and hopefully at some point we'll get back to coffee. But they've also, as we've continued to meet, provided a lot of opportunities, helping me, network with people, areas for professional growth, different areas of information, things I might be interested in, and just continued guidance on career progression. So I think that shows a lot of just what a high-level engagement from a mentor can really do for a mentee, to be open, to share, to be curious, to listen. Those are all just really huge and can, kind of create some really lifelong impacts. So on the next slide, we will talk about just rounding up the next steps here. Ian kind of hit on them, but I'll state them again. So go ahead and reach out, make that initial contact, start getting to know each other, not just your backgrounds, but your strengths, your weaknesses, your goals. Understand that, how you guys can work together. Not every goal will be something that the person you're matched with will make sense to work on with. Find out which ones do make the most sense, and focus in on those. Now, after this meeting, I think Ian might have said that we already sent it out. I don't know that we did, but if we haven't, it'll be in the next day or two. We will be sending along a handbook that has kind of everything we've talked about today and a ton more. It'll have information about the program. It'll have ideas for you, TED Talks, books, kind of evaluations you can do. You don't have to do any of them, but they're ideas. See if any of them might be helpful for you and your mentor to go through. As part of that, there will also be that framework where you can, at your first meeting, talk about your backgrounds, talk about your goals, and get on the same page about some of the things you'll focus on. That can certainly change over time. I'm sure it will, but it is good to formalize that. And we will ask you to send that back to us. We're not evaluating it per se, but we do want to build in checkpoints where we can to make sure that you are able to put aside the time to focus on everything that you hope to get out of the program, and making sure that that actually happens. Just to reiterate a few items. So first is that not every pairing is going to be perfect, but we do find that even those relationships can provide a lot of room for learning. And sometimes those can turn out to be even better than maybe what you would have picked for yourself, just because each person is so different. The second is that the mentee is the driving force of this pairing. So we do expect mentors to be responsive, to be engaged, to be present, but in the end, the program is only going to provide as much as the mentee puts in. And then finally, just being consistent. There are so many distractions. Get those meetings on your calendar. I would recommend, putting a standing meeting. You can always move them if something comes up, but it's just too easy, especially right now for 2 months to go by. And no one even notices, and consistency is going to be really key to build those relationships and really get something meaningful out of this. With that, I would open it up to any questions that people might have. Give you just a second in case anyone is trying to figure out their microphone. No. All right. Well, no worries on that. I would just like to let you guys know we are always open for questions, for feedback, with the emails that are sent out with some of those resources. Megan's email will be on there. Let her know if there's anything that you need, any issues. She will pass that along to us, and we will, be as responsive as we possibly can be. We're open to just making this work the best for each of you. So we really hope that there is kind of some nice two-way communication. And with that, just thank you all so much for showing up today. We're looking forward to working with you, and we really hope that you enjoy this mentorship process. I think, it's a very exciting relationship to be building, and we just hope that it's really meaningful and valuable for each of you. So thanks again, and have a lovely afternoon, everyone.
Thanks for the time and effort you put into this.
Yeah, thank you, Carol.
Yep. Take care. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
You as well. Thank you.